Hello and welcome back to I Made This. My name is Ollie, and as many of you know, I work quite extensively for the Australian rock band the Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. Over the last 4 going on 5 years now, I have directed many music videos for them, be it claymation, a little bit of live action, a little bit of hand-drawn animation, but it's mostly been claymation. And earlier this year, they tasked me to create artwork that would help support their new album coming out later this year. And the 2 things they wanted me to concentrate on were, one, recreating the album artwork in claymation that they can use for social media. And the artwork itself is of Jack's wife's gran at their wedding smoking a big old stogie. So they wanted me to film a bunch of stuff, me making it, posing it, animating it, just things that they can use to help promote the album on social media channels. And secondly, they wanted me to create the gatefold artwork. And the gatefold is whenever you open up your vinyl record and you have like a double page spread of artwork. And it's quite a big area of real estate to kind of fill up. So the album itself is called Fronzoli, which means lots of stuff, I think. Anyway, that's what they told me. I think it's Italian. I don't know. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But so yeah, essentially they just wanted me to stuff this gatefold full of things, be it aliens, cars, washing machines, vacuum cleaners, UFOs, aliens, monsters, you name it, whatever, just throw it in there and just completely jam pack it with stuff. So yeah, that is what I did. And so yeah, without further ado, let's see how I got on. So first of all, we're going to make Anne. Now, Anne is the lady who adorns the front cover of the new Porn Crumpets album, Fronzoli. And yeah, it's just a case of just slapping that plasticine on and building up that detail to create the character. Not a lot to say about it, really. You just got to keep working at it until eventually it resembles what it's supposed to look like. So I think it only took me a couple of hours to get the body to the point where I was happy with it. It's only like 3 different colours. There's like a light blue, like a violety, purpley kind of colour for the jacket, and then just the regular flesh tones. The flesh tones I actually mix myself because the colours that you normally get with plasticine packs are never quite right for me. They always look a bit pink, so I always put a little bit of brown, a bit of red, a bit of yellow in there as well to kind of make it look a little bit more realistic, I guess. Now I'm just making the head. Now the heads are probably the part I struggle with the most because really good artists can convey a character through just a few lines, be that with a pencil or with a sculpting tool. I tend to over detail my characters, and as you can see, it's not looking quite right just yet. It looks a little bit like Christopher Walken at the moment, but I keep working at it, and I think eventually I get to a point where I think it looks enough like Anne as it can, and still being a bit of a caricature of her as well, but in a respectful way, not one of those caricatures that just takes the piss. And then one of my favourite final touches is putting that little bit of tissue paper in a sleeve, because everybody's gran, nan, whatever, always shoved a bit of tissue paper up their sleeve, always ready for, you know, whatever occasion might need it. Now I'm getting the character ready for a little photo shoot where I have her like puffing away at the stogie. I have a feeling this character is going to end up in a few of my future Porn Crumpet music videos. Have you ever seen The X-Files? There's a character in that called the Cigarette Smoking Man. We could probably have like the stogie smoking lady or something like that, who's always in the background pulling the strings of whatever's going on in the video. I think that might be quite fun. But playing around with cotton wool and things like that to make the smoke effects, I think works really well. So I also had to make the chair that she sits on. Some of it's a little bit of guesswork because all I can see is a bit of the back of the chair. But yeah, I gently place her on and then pose her on the chair, and then take a couple more photos in this position before I get to work with the animation. Now, I only had a couple of hours to get the animation done, so it's not my best work, I wouldn't say, but I think for what it is, it does the job well enough. As always, I'd love to have had more time to work on it, but all it But all it was supposed to be is a 6-7 second long shot that can be looped, that goes on social media just to say Fronzoli coming out November 14th, order here now. That's all it had to be. So I think for that, I think it's fine. The head moves a little bit janky, but I'm quite pleased with the smoke though. I think the smoke looks really cool. Right, now we're going to move on to the gatefold. And to start off, I'm just going to build one of the little alien characters. They're pretty simple. They're just like round blobs with wide open mouths and little stringy arms and little round teeth. Nothing too complex with these little characters, so they're pretty easy to make. I do actually refine this one a little bit later because he's a little bit rough and ready at the moment, but he needs a little bit of TLC just to make sure he's worthy of being on the gatefold of the new Psychedelic Porn Crumpets album. And now I just had to think of a load of different things to fill up this gatefold with. So first of all, I thought, I don't know, a giant rubber duck, that would be fun. It's probably actually the size of a real rubber duck, but when you put it with everything else, it looks quite big. I have a lot of retro video games, and in the corner of my room I've got an old PlayStation, so I looked at that and I thought, oh, that'd be fun, make a little monster out of a PlayStation, why not? Put some teeth in the CD tray and a big tongue. And I also thought it'd be fun to change the analog sticks to mushrooms, because Psychedelic Porn Crumpets, why not? And the toilet is actually based on an old real Ghostbusters toy that was of a toilet that you rolled across the floor, and as you did that, the lid opened up and down and it revealed his mouth and eyes opening and closing. This little fella, this little yellow guy, he's the first one I actually made, and it kind of set the tone for all the things that I was going to make for the gatefold. This skull I have used in a lot of projects. In fact, it's actually in the Bill's mandolin video when Bill pulls the sword out of the dead corpse. This skull is the one that falls onto the floor, and I just slapped plasticine all over it, and I think it looks pretty fun and pretty cool. I'd love to see what it looked like with it all melting off it, you know, like Indiana Jones style. Here I'm just building a dinosaur. I wish I made more dinosaurs, to be honest, because dinosaurs are awesome. Here is a washing machine. This was a lot of fun to make. It's actually got a foam board like base to it, which I covered in plasticine, and then covered with like little knobs and eyeballs and teeth and things like that. And then because it's me, I thought it'd be really fun just to have it looking like it's spewing out a load of green bile, because why not? And then in the final gatefold, I actually sculpted a little blobby alien guy surfing on the sick because of reasons. Yeah, just made another little blobby alien guy holding a little star because he looked cute. And here's a giant version of one of those blobby guys. He's like, I don't know, about 6 times the size of all the other ones, and he weighed a ton, and a lot of purple plasticine went into making him, I can tell you that now. This little flying creature is based on a little character that's in the Bill's mandolin video. He's only in it for like a couple of seconds, but Bill whacks him with his mandolin later on. Here's the moon that Jack absolutely loved, and he ended up on the actual vinyl cover itself. And it was fun to make. I just made it on a polystyrene ball, covered it in plasticine, and then just built up the detail. In fact, the moon plays a focal point in a lot of the music videos that we make, and I kind of referenced the George Méliès Rocket to the Moon video quite a bit as well with previous Porn Crumpets videos that we've done. And here is Mother Earth, or I guess my interpretation of Mother Earth. On the final version, I covered it in tattoos, which I did as a separate Photoshop file, where I painstakingly drew like a tri-wall design over the whole body and then comped it on in After Effects. And the head was just made the same as the moon, just with a little polystyrene ball covered in plasticine. And here's a keg, actually made on a real miniature keg, but I just built it out in plasticine more just to make it a bit more cartoony and fun. And I love putting faces on like items that shouldn't have faces on. For example, like this speaker, I made 2, a grumpy one and a happy one, because why not? It looks quite manic without the lips actually, doesn't it? And now it just looks a bit derpy. And again, putting mouths onto inanimate objects, but I think it kind of works with the speaker and the drums because they are objects that are made to make noise. So like putting a mouth on it like just makes sense to me. And here's the drummer. Again, I love doing things with multiple arms, so I had to make a drummer with 4 arms. And then I was looking in the corner of my office and I saw my Henry Hoover and I thought, yeah, why not make a little Henry the Hoover that's sucking at one of the little characters and then spewing it back up, because for some weird twisted reason I'm obsessed with doing vomit. I don't know why. Maybe I need help. This car is probably my most favourite thing I made for the Gatefold. I'm always trying to perfect my little cartoony claymation cars, and I think I nailed it with this video. I was so happy with how it turned out. I made an exhaust with some cotton wool and some wire. I also had to make a base, and I just melted down loads of plasticine and just smeared it all over. It took ages, and it took up a lot of blocks of baby blue plasticine. And here I am just assembling it and putting it all together. A lot of wise people would probably have a plan. They would sketch out the positions they're going to put them in and the things that they're going to make. I'm not like that. I just kind of go from the gut and just make things and then just see what happens. It'd probably be in my benefit to do it the other way, but for some reason this is the way my mind works. I just kind of start it, and that way I know that I'm already on the way to making it, if that makes sense. Even though you are, if you're doing concept work, for me it's all about physically making it, and that's how I kind of find my way of making things, is by physically doing it, by doing the sculpting, etc. And then I just add some lights to give it a bit of depth. And yeah, I'm really happy with that composition. And I thought it'd be fun just to kind of like go around it and have a little look at the characters all in situ. It looks a lot more fun in like a 3D space like this while you're going around them. But until they invent 3D gatefolds, then, you know, this is the best we're going to get for now. And there we go, all that work for one photo. After I took the photo, I realised I needed some more characters either side of the picture because it was looking a little bit empty, so I made this little hand guy and a little robot because it was lacking a robot and it needed a robot. Now, a normal person would compile this image all together with Photoshop. I decided to do it with After Effects, and that's because I felt like I had more control with After Effects. I can scale items and move them around a lot more easier and kind of revert back to its original state if I wanted to, whereas if it was in Photoshop, I have to make sure I do copies of certain items, and then yeah, it just felt like it'd be a bit more of a headache and a bit more of a mess, and I thought it'd be a lot quicker and easier to do it in After Effects, and I think it turned out really well, and I was really pleased with how it all looked in the end. And if you look at my music videos and this final image, it kind of all feels like all of a piece, and it feels like my work, I think anyway. But yeah, as you can see, I masked out all the areas that I didn't want and then filled in all the empty space with sky element and gradients and clouds and planets and trees and some RGB separation, some glow, all things just to make the image pop. Now, this is something extra Jack asked me to do. Jack asked me to do. Jack also asked if I could do some visualizers for the songs to be played on YouTube or Spotify, just so there was a visual element to make it a little bit more interesting. And he thought it'd be really fun if I was to make a claymation record player the album is spinning on. But not just any album. What we'll do is we'll replicate the limited edition versions of the album. You know, they do ones that are on all different kind of colour schemes and colourways, some that are made from recyclable material and things like that. And we thought it'd be really interesting to make like miniature versions of that play on the record. So I had a lot of fun making these records, just kind of pouring the liquid haphazardly to kind of create the splatter effect, or doing a half and half record and doing like a real perfect even split with different types of resin, one that's more translucent, one that's a bit more solid in colour, and also, as I said, doing the recyclable ones with lots of different like patterns and textures. It was a lot of fun to do, and I also replicated the artwork on the actual vinyl itself of the moon and the track listing, just to kind of make it even more authentic. The actual record player itself was just made from foam core, covered in plasticine, and used the top of a food container as the top of the record player. And like a lot of crafters, I have what Bill Making Stuff calls a bit box, which is just basically a box filled with loads of stuff of random shapes that I find that are interesting, be it like lids or containers. And I constructed the needle and the arm of the record player out of just random junk that I had lying around. Yeah, it was really fun animating the record player. Originally it was supposed to be just on its own with the record spinning around, but I thought it was pretty boring, so I threw in a load of the characters from the Gatefold and just crudely animated them together, and I think it really added to it. I was also asked to do a Mr. Men style character poster t-shirt design, and yeah, I just drew really simplified versions of the characters and I just used 3 to 4 colours, which is something I've never actually done before, and I found it really interesting. And you know, I have no idea if this will ever see the light of day, because that's something that happens with things like this. You just produce so much content for them that sometimes some of it just doesn't get used because it's not needed, or it's just not what they're after. I was really pleased with it. I think it looks really cool, so hopefully one day this might see the light of day. So for another visualizer, what I thought would be really cool would be to print out the line work for the poster that I'd made and trace it a couple of times to kind of create like a boiled animation. If you don't know what boiled animation means, it means it's like static animation, but the line work kind of wobbles around. And then I'd colour it in with felt tip pen, like really roughly, so that when it's played back, it's like all scratchy. And then to add to that, what I'd do is I'd screw up each piece of paper and then flatten it back out again, and then place that underneath the camera, and then take a couple of pictures of each frame and then just loop it. So it's really simple. And as you can see, you end up with loads of frames, and like I said, you take pictures of it under the camera, and it's just a real simple looped animation of it just standing static but with boiled line work. And here is what it actually looks like. And I believe they actually used some of this in the lead up to the release of the album on social media and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought it was pretty fun. I actually did something pretty similar in the people taking pictures, the Hill music video that I did earlier this year. Only on that video it was actually like fully animated with characters singing and dancing and performing, and I really enjoyed that technique, so much so that I'd love to go forward with that and utilise it more within a music video or a narrative based short film. One day, maybe. So now, with all the work done, all I have to do now is sit back and wait for a couple of months and see how my work looks in the finished album as it was intended. 2 months later. So I've been waiting for this for the past couple of months, so I'm looking forward to seeing my artwork as the gatefold for the new Psychedelic Porn Crumpets album. Let's have a look. So I ordered this Salt Lake Palms hello Darla variant. Apparently there was a bit of a mishap in the manufacturing of that. That is Jack's wife's grandmother. So let's have a look. I believe that was at Jack's wedding. You excited too, Lala? You ready? Hey, look at that. Oh, I'm dead chuffed with that. What do you think, Lala? No, Lala. And then, not only that, let's have a look at the record. But you know what, it still looks cool though. And I did that mood as well. Best track on here by far is Pill House. Check it out, it's awesome. Fronzoli, the new album from the Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. So yeah, sorry about that. I'm not much of a salesman and I need to work on my unboxing skills. It's been said that I'm a little bit nonchalant at times, and obviously I came across as a bit unenthusiastic just then. But no, genuinely I am thrilled to bits with how it looks on the record. And here we're actually looking at the blacklight version of the Gatefold, because that was what it was originally intended to be. It was going to be all blacklight. But by using the blacklight, you kind of lose some of the other colours, because you can only use like neon oranges, yellows, reds and pinks and purples. And I wanted to use blues and greys and some other tones just so it didn't feel all one note. But here you can get a glimpse of what the Gatefold artwork would have looked like with the blacklight. I did actually use a bit of the blacklight in the final piece, but it's just there subtly just to kind of enhance some of the colours. And as we round out the video, I thought it'd be fun just to take a look at some of the characters I made for the Gatefold. And I'm sorry if this video was a little bit long-winded, but I do these videos also for myself as like a kind of a record of the things that I've made and what I've done. And as always, it's an absolute pleasure to work for the Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. It's very rare you get a client. Actually, I don't want to call them a client because they're friends now. I've seen them more recently in the last couple of years than I have some of my friends who live locally, and they're from Australia. But yeah, they are awesome to work for because they just let me go off and do my thing, and that's awesome going forward because we've got a lot of ideas that we want to bring to fruition in the next couple of years. But I hope you're looking forward to that because it's going to be insane. Like, I've probably said this before, but I've always wanted to be a musician. Like, I would have loved to be in a band, but I am just musically inept. And so my way of being close to music is by making music videos, and just to be asked to do artwork for an album, be it even if it's in the inside, is just a massive honour for me. And not only that, the album is fantastic, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. It's an awesome album. So please check it out. If you are interested, you can go to their website, psychedelicporncrumpets.com, and there's various different ways to get hold of the album depending on what region you're at. And by helping them out, you're helping me out because they pay me to make music videos. So the more records they sell, the more they can pay me. Probably won't, but you never know. And but yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. And if you don't do so already, please consider subscribing to the channel because I'd really appreciate it. You can reach out to me on social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for I Made This. And until next time, take care and goodbye.